Um, Hi everyone, it's me, Reverend Danelle Tyon, and I want to apologize first of all for missing last week. Uh, it was not that I didn't think about it. I did quite often throughout the day, but the weather was bad and I couldn't get to Casey's, and I thought many times about how I could just sit up and do it. But by the time midnight came around, I decided I'd already missed the day and wait till next week. But I'm determined not to miss 2 weeks. I apologize for my procrastination once again. Um, Real quick before we get started today, I wanted to touch on the subject of tolerance. Something happened this past week that kind of hurt my heart, and I just need to talk about it for a few minutes. We were in a group text with my mother, Casey, and I saw a news report come on TV that just mentioned that 379 large companies have now filed a suit trying to press the Supreme Court to legalize gay marriage across the board. They're doing this to support their employees who are wanting to get insurance benefits for their significant other, and the federal laws just make things like that difficult. So these companies, including Google and a lot of other companies that do business worldwide, have stepped in to step up and support their employees, and I think it's awesome, for one. And my mom's response to the text was, I guess, something I kind of expected. Her reply was, "Oh, great, the United States has gone to hell." I really didn't expect her ultimate response, though. She ended up getting a little bit ugly through the conversation when, I mentioned, you do know Casey is bisexual, don't you? And I immediately called Casey to make sure it was okay that I had said that. Casey had no problem with it because it's never been a secret to her. It's just not a big deal. And my mom turned kind of ugly about it. And it was very hurtful to hear her say that, just the fact that my daughter might want to marry a woman someday, she finds something sick about. And my daughter is a wonderful person and a spectacular mother, and my mother has never denied any of that. So I found it extremely hypocritical on her part, and I had a hard time just letting it go. But we kind of had to let things go for the time being. I just wanted to make it very clear, one thing about this ministry is we are completely inclusive, and I don't like intolerance. So you have to be willing to accept people for who and what they are, and just love them in spite of their downfalls. So I love my mother. And on that note, we'll get on with this week's episode. I want to dedicate this week to my one true faithful viewer that I know I have out there, and that is my adopted daughter, Kimberly. So I'm going to be reading some poetry today to try to uplift and inspire. And baby girl, this one's for you. I wrote a lot of these poems 12 or more years ago. It was a period of time where I just was really inspired. Words just kind of flowed, and I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote, and a lot of it I had to go back and read again and remember, yeah, I really wrote that. The poems I want to read today just have to do with, keeping God in mind, and being supportive of each other. This one is called, I think I said, Begin Again. There comes a time in all our lives when hopelessness sets in, when all seems lost and we find we ought to begin our lives again. We must rise up when we are down in order to stand and fight, for in the darkest dark you will find it's easiest to see the light. No matter where life leads us, in good times and in bad, the love of God still feeds us, whether happy love or sad. Through the best times, He has talked to me as I went throughout my day, and in the worst times, He has walked with me, though I've felt far away. I thank the Lord for this life I lead, though far from Him I stray. Still He stays with me through adversity and comforts me day by day. One here called To Hear You. Speak to my heart, Lord, loud and clear. Speak to my heart that I may hear. To hear you, Lord, is all I want, every night and every day. To hear you, Lord, without a doubt, knowing what you say. Where that one came from. The next one is Forever Yours. Lord, I am forever yours. Please help me find my way. Life's hallway holds so many doors. Forgive me when I stray. Forever I will love you. Forever I will praise your Son, your name, one and the same. Humbly yours till the end of days. Called My Life Is Yours. And it's a little bit longer. My life is in your hands, but no one understands. They think I've lost my mind. Why are they so unkind? I once gave my life to you, saying do as you wish to do, and you have led me here, a far, far cry from there. But my friends and family, they wonder about me. My grandma says she prays that I will find my way back to the church I left, but they don't want my gift. Women cannot preach. That is what they teach. But Lord, I always knew you deep within my heart, and I knew my strength was through you. I was yours right from the start. Who Am I? This poem is called. You hear my bird? Okay, Romeo. All right. As I pass the mirror, I stop and stare. Who is that person standing there? I hardly know her anymore, that person that I was before. She looks at me with those trusting eyes and a soul that's 7 times her size. And the more I look, the more she changes. The figure before me, it rearranges. She stretches and turns. As for wisdom, she yearns. And all at once, I realize it's me that I see, looking back nervously. And regardless what the mirror shows, the soul that I feel, that's what is real, not what this body knows. I am who I am, for God made me she. I am her, she is me. We are one, me and she. And I believe I am who God wants me to be. So inside out, I will walk through this world on my own. Small and scared, tired and timid, but not ever really alone. With my soul exposed, I wear this shell as I walk through life and go through hell. And the girl that I was, I always will be, even though it's not her I see now looking at me. In a body that's aging, withered and worn, in clothing now baggy, tattered and torn, I pour out my soul so that others might learn that they too should teach when it comes to their turn. And no matter what image the mirror might see, I trust in this one thing, that I am exactly where He wants me to be. And through all of this, my soul He will bring. This one is called Where Is My Mind? As I sit here tonight and rethink the day, there were so many things I wanted to say. Of course, I can't remember 10 minutes ago, so how in the world will I ever know the thoughts that came earlier, just hours ago? They leave a curious gnawing and a humbled ego. Sometimes I wonder why my mind leaves me, and then I worry that no one believes me. I'm young, it's true, but I'm a mother too, and that in itself can age you. 4 children I've borne, just every morn, and years I've watched roll away. I married too young, and never could hold my tongue, and asked God for strength every day. And when my mind fails me, and this body ails me, I just have to remember to pray. And then God reassures me, comforts and lures me to play the game His way. He tells me He will sustain me and strengthen my body again, and He will not restrain me from straying a bit now and then. But then, in the same breath, I hear Him ask me to try harder every day, to keep Him on my mind and my troubles behind, and to watch the things I say. For we are living in a dreadful age, when God is thought of less and less, and before we turn another page, we must caution, persuade, and press. I am frightened for mankind, so there are some things that I must stress. For if we all lose sight of Him, the world will be a mess. I'm afraid, my friend, it's just a matter of time before the light goes dim. So help me to remind the world where we would be without Him. If not for the love God has for us, even when we forget to pray, so have faith, be cheerful, and never be fearful. God will find a way. This one's called Crazy? With a question mark. I love it when I hear from God, as oft times I know I do. Some people really think I'm odd, but others hear Him too. How do I hear Him? You might want to know. He speaks to me everywhere I go. In the afternoon breeze or a morning rain, He speaks to me in the back of my brain, and He speaks to my heart and makes it race. And sometimes He speaks to me face to face. You say that sounds crazy? I once thought so too. But give Him a chance. He'll get a hold of you. It's called It's All About Him. God is in control, yet we are in control. Every day it's us, but evermore it's Him. He speaks to us each day, yet we go on our way, looking at ourselves, filling up our shelves, and forgetting about Him. Sometimes I feel so lost, yet He paid such a cost to give this gift to us. I can never forget about Him. He knows that I am weak, that I am afraid to speak, yet still He trusts in me, so I must tell about Him. I don't want to be thought deranged, but it all seems to be so arranged. The way that life began, it's all just one big plan, and it's all because of Him. It scares me to be known. I feel naked and alone, speaking out loud in front of a crowd, so I just want to write about Him. But more and more He urges me. Every year, the more I see that it's my duty my debt to pay, to tell the world about him. This one is 7 minutes long, but it's a poem that's very dear to my heart. One that came out of my testimony. When I was 13 years old, I lived in Utah, Cedar City, Utah, and I used to ride my horse up into the mountains. I found a very special spot where I would often sit and converse with nature, and that was where I really, truly found God. I felt closer to him there than I have ever felt in any church or temple, under any rooftop, anywhere. So this was my sacred place, and this poem is a tribute to those years. And it's called The Ride. Please excuse my bird if you hear him in the background. As I ride my stallion to the mountain top, reaching for the sky, I find myself lost in thought, wondering how and why. How did he do it? Why does he care? And I ask him that when I get up there. I dismount my horse, and I stop and stare. For the beauty that surrounds me, it simply just astounds me. All the sounds around me, everywhere. I feel him deep within me, stirring something in me, something of which I am not yet aware. I hear his words in the songs of the birds as they fill the mountain air, and in the afternoon breeze as it blows through the trees. He is warning me to beware, summons me to notice the spider and the bug, and then he gently gives me a warm internal hug. The spider, he says, is cunning and sly, forever plotting to trap the fly. And many people lay traps too, hoping they will soon catch you. So as you ride on life's rough trail, be sure to watch your gait, for there are those with tooth and nail who skillfully lie in wait. And along the way you will find those who like to be unkind, who will laugh and tease those on their knees while they can't make up their own mind. Then God tells me he won't leave me when all the others don't believe me, and assures me he will teach me right from wrong. And he promises to guide me and to always stay beside me as the crickets hum their slow melodic song. And as I descend the mountain, passing by a fountain, I feel blessed to be alive upon the earth. And I thank God for all his gifts to me, and tell him to do as he wishes with me, for I was his servant already at my birth. I like to think he understands what he has always meant to me. But I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and to be what I wanted to be. And so in my youth, I strayed a bit from that straight and narrow path. But I like to think he understood, and maybe even laughed. And through the years, as I grew older, his hold on me, well, it grew bolder. And though I resisted to some extent, I never fought too hard, because after all, it is God's game, and he holds the ultimate card. I used to be. And as I remember those wonderful days, My life has changed in so many ways. Before I was strong, and now I am weak. It didn't take long to turn me humble and meek. I can no longer get upon my horse, for gravity is a mighty force. With broken leg, I sit and write to tell this tale to you, somewhat prepared, but still not quite, for what it is I must do. My ride is not yet over. Onward I go still, on an endless search for the perfect church, climbing up life's hill. The Mormon Church disappointed me. The Universal Life Church has anointed me, but I feel God ordained me long ago. The church just never knew me. They said God wouldn't talk to me, but how in the world does anybody know? I know God as well as any man, as well as any human can. He walks with me, and I with him, when I can keep that pace. And I will always be, whether beside or behind, on his team while I'm riding life's race. So though I may not belong to a church, right or wrong, I long to belong to him. And whenever I ask, Lord, show me my task, he answers with vigor and vim. And he tells me to write, both day and night. He tells me to write about him. And now that I know the bulk of his plan, I will watch where I go and do what I can. And though I am scared of crowds just a bit, I'm not scared of any man. For God is with me. This is it. I can do it. I know that I can. Then he fills me with words about life and death. He sharpens my senses and halts my breath. But only for a moment or two. And with my hands shaking at the task I am facing, he tells me again what to do. He says to reach out to those who are lost, who would sell their soul at any cost, to the young and confused, to the scared and the tossed, to tell them they control their own life's ride. We can live with humility or live with pride. Our body is ours to do with as we please as we traverse this physical plane. With doors to open and doors to close, there's so much to lose, yet so much to gain. So walk through any door you want. Some will help you, others will taunt. And if you get stuck or lose your way, all you have to do is stop and pray, and God will rescue you. Yes, I like to remember those rides in September as the leaves crunched beneath my steed. And when I recall those days in the fall, I thank God for planting that seed. Enjoy the ride, everybody. May God bless. They leave a curious gnawing and a humbled ego. Sometimes I feel so lost. Romeo, really? I'm gonna be able to do this. So, and kissed every morn, and years I have watched roll away. 4 children I've borne, and sometimes I feel so lost. Yet sometimes I feel so lost. Oh, my Lord. Sometimes I feel so... Okay, we're doing this again. Not working.